short while ago, we were blessed to have one of Sapporo's very own heroes in the studio with us. This week we're bringing you part 2 of the Nippon Ham Fighters baseball coach Trey Hillman interview. I'm Delana Miyazaki, and you're at truthwork.com.
I'll give you a quick overview. My history: I played football, baseball, and basketball in high school through my sophomore year, and then football and baseball through my senior year. Was fortunate to get a scholarship in baseball. Played for 4 years at University of Texas at Arlington. Signed as a free agent with the Cleveland Indians in 85. Played 85, 86, 87 with the Indians in the minor leagues. Scouted for the Indians in 88. Joined the New York Yankees in 89. Coached the 89 season at A-ball. They turned me into a manager at 27 years old and managed my way from rookie ball up to AAA, which is the highest minor league level. And I was with the Yankees for 13 years. Then the Rangers hired me away, and I was with the Rangers for the 2002 season, and I was in charge of their minor league operations on the field. And then the Fighters hired me away, and I've been with the Fighters ever since. So this is my 22nd year in professional baseball, my 17th year to be a manager. Now, with dealing with the all players, but specifically here in Japan, with going through injuries and going through difficult times, I think the key thing as a Christian for me, for them to see, is that I'm going to be consistent with them. My favorite verse in the Bible is 1 Corinthians 13:13. Abide in these three: faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. I believe that with a culture and players that don't understand, don't have any idea what God is, I believe the best way that I can make an impact is to show them that I love them every day. So if a guy is specifically doing very poorly, or specifically has an injury, so he doesn't feel like just a piece of meat that we have on loan and that we own to perform a duty. If his work ethic and his passion and his concentration, I believe, are being harnessed in the right direction to perform for his job, I try to love him as much as I can. I talk to him, tell him that I love him. I had a meeting just last week with a player, very, very uncultural in this baseball world in Japan for a kantoku to say, "Hey, buddy, I love you." That just doesn't happen here. So one of my players that has performed subpar, I won't say his name, but he has performed way below his skill level this season, and we need him to perform consistently. I called him in the office and I told him, I said, "I love you, but it's my job to draw everything I can out of you on the baseball field." So I asked him if there's anything specific that he needed to get off his chest and talk about, and there wasn't. And I told him that I was going to stick by him, support him. Wasn't going to make him any promises about being in the lineup every day, but when he was in the lineup, the things that I expected, and most importantly, I love him. So with the coaching staff here, 2 years ago, our first year here in Sapporo, I handed out Bibles as gifts, and also handed out the Bibles that were done in the comic book style, that were given to us from the Walker family missionaries.
Right.
And didn't get any feedback from that. Right now in the United States, I've got a trifold card, witness card, being produced in English and in Japanese, and I'm awaiting word for when those are going to be ready, so they can be autographed and given out. And as I've told all our missionary friends that we've had an opportunity to meet, use me and abuse me. I mean, I'm not afraid to say no, because I do have a responsibility for for my family and for the job that God has blessed me to have. I've got to perform my duties. But I know that the higher calling and the more important thing is to be a witness, and that's one thing that we're trying to step up is the witness card and be able to give those to our missionary friends and hand out by ourselves as well.
Now, I didn't get to participate, but I was really excited to hear about your candy cane project.
Well,
Can you tell us about that?
Well, the Candy Cane Project was the brainchild of Carlton Walker. If you click on, if I've had friends Google me, and that's one of the highlight points on the Google is the Candy Cane Project, which is that's a blessing. That's great that's one of the first things that comes up instead of here's a picture of Trey Hillman yelling at an umpire. But Carlton, I told him I'd love to do something big with him, and God blessed me with the platform, and He blessed all of us with the organization that I work for. They could have shot that down.
Oh, sure.
They could have said, hey, no chance. If we'd have tried to do that in the United States affiliated with an organization, it would have been shot down.
Yeah,
definitely. So that's one of the great blessings about being a manager on the other side of the world, and working for the great people with the fighters that I get to work for. But that was Carlton's idea, and it just kept growing. He said, hey, we could get pictures, we could get autographed pictures, we could make inserts, we could attach a candy cane to it and tell the people the real story of the candy cane. And it was fun. It was a wonderful time. In the interim, I went home and produced a not-so-good CD. It was a rush job. I hadn't been singing in years, and but we were on a time schedule, so I recorded a witness track on it that my interpreter, Ken Iwamoto, translated for me, and we did a CD and sold CDs and gave money to the fighters and gave money to the missionary groups, and it was a fun project. The CD's not very good, but it was a fun project.
Well, I've listened to most of the CD, and I thought you did a good job for the time you had to do it, especially.
It was a one-shot studio,
really?
Makeshift studio deal, and it was, hey, we got to get this to production, we got to get it out. And I really wasn't, I really wasn't concerned about how people thought I sang. I wanted the message being out, so that wasn't the primary.
Hitting me right here. I myself have recorded a few CDs, but most of them I feel now when I look at them are substandard. And it's one of those challenges to try to say, okay, God's used this in the past, especially back when I thought it was something that I had recorded.
Right.
A couple CDs and 24 hours, no sleep, by myself in a room. And so now it's like, okay, God, I know you can use whatever I give you when I do it with all my heart.
Right.
But I also understand the feeling of wanting to do your best. And
yeah, there's a performer in all of us that pick up musical instruments and enjoy singing. I mean, and I believe that God wants us to be passionate about that too.
Right.
But you know what? I think that the more important message is in the lyrics and what we're singing about. And in that particular CD with the Candy Cane Project, it was, hey, Japan, wake up. Glad you celebrate Christmas, but let's start understanding what Christmas really is.
Right.
If you're gonna borrow English words, you borrow them and you understand the meaning of them. Well, if you're going to borrow a holiday, please understand the meaning of the holiday, and then there's at least a starting point. This is Christ's birthday. Okay? Great, we get to give gifts, we put bright lights up, but who is this Jesus guy? Let's explore this. And then you have an opportunity to know the truth, and through missionary friends and educating about Buddhism and Hinduism, and Buddhism having come from Hinduism, and witnessing to some of my front office members about a month and a half ago. 2 months ago, one of the highlights. One of the highlights was asking them because of the Da Vinci Code. They asked me the question, and I went, all right, Da Vinci Code's giving me a chance to witness here. I said, dude, do you want to hear this? And they said, sure. I said, do you know what happens? As adult men, Japanese adult men, do you know what happens when your time on this earth is done? I said, because I do. I know what happens and what I believe. Mm-hmm. Do you? And I said, before you answer, my guess is that you don't. My guess is that you don't really know. You just kind of culturally kind of go with the flow. Mm-hmm. And they said, you know what? You're right. We don't really know. And he looked at the other guy and he said, I don't really know. I said, well, you know what? As adult, intelligent men that I love, you both should. Mm-hmm. You both should know. And it's a stagnant heart as a nation. Mm-hmm. And I think the dark side, the evil force, loves that.
Right.
He loves it.
Yeah, if Satan can just keep us comfortable doing nothing, then he doesn't have to work that hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's, when you start talking about the spirit world when you're witnessing, I think you got to be real careful.
Right.
Because you scare people.
Sure.
But that's part of it. That's part of it because it's the truth.
I find in Japan people are just so ignorant of the spirit world. Mm-hmm. In some cases, they have so much materialism and mm-hmm. media happening that they can just ignore that part. But then some people are really into these spiritual, occultic type of religions and things. Mm-hmm. So you have both extremes, but I try to just get people aware of, hey, you're a spiritual being.
True.
Not just a body.
Right.
And to think about, well, it's quite possible, isn't it, that our spirits, kokoro or whatever you say in Japanese, is an eternal part of us. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't die.
Yeah.
So just getting people aware of that as a starting point can be a real challenge sometimes.
Absolutely. But I think that you just hit it on the head. If it looks right, then it is right. Yeah. If you got the Louis Vuitton bag and you're traveling on the train or the mm-hmm. airplane, everything's okay in your world. If you got a car and it's the right brand, everything's okay in your world. Mm-hmm. She had a comment one day from a friend of a friend that said she couldn't believe that she saw the Hillman family eating at Royal Host. It's our favorite place to eat. It's right by our house. It's convenient.
Kind of like a Japanese Perkins or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a Denny's.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a Denny's, Grand Slam breakfast. But it's, we all have a tendency. That's another way that I think that.
Food.
Yeah, that's another way that I think that we can be witnesses. Mm-hmm. We do and have been blessed with the money to eat at other places than Royal Host, mm-hmm. but we enjoy it.
Yeah, well, the day that
we're down to earth. We're trying to be down to earth people.
That was something that really kind of spoke to me. The first, and this is the second time I met you. The first time I met you was on the subway.
On the subway. What's this guy doing taking the subway? People ask me that a lot.
Yeah, I realized you had your family visiting from Texas, and so you probably were going someplace that's convenient by subway. But it's like, wow, I've seen this guy on TV, and I'd seen your family in church just a few days before. So I saw your kids first of all, and I was like, oh, I know them.
People have asked me that question in many interviews. Describe yourself, and I said, you know what? I'm just a regular Joe. Mm-hmm. I'm a regular guy that's been blessed a lot with God's blessings and getting to do some cool things. It's a cool platform. I would be lying if I said it wasn't really cool to get to walk into a stadium of 25 to 40,000 people and say, that's my office. It's cool. That's cool, but you know what? That's the blessings of God giving me that job.
We couldn't be happier that there's a man of God sitting in that position that is so influential in Japan, because baseball is, from my point of view, much bigger here than in the States right now.
It is. Yeah.
And last year when you mentioned you didn't have the greatest season, the reason I went to the Dome to see you was to do a Trey Hillman support day. We had a sign back there, and I don't watch baseball. I really don't care much about it, but I prayed for you guys to be here because I really wanted to see that platform continue.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's we don't know what's going to happen for next year.
No,
but God's taught us both. Me more so than Marie, because this is the most patient person on the face of the earth. I think she's always had a lot better grasp than me that God's timing.
Mm-hmm.
But in our marriage and through this experience, neither one of us are anxious to know what's going to happen for next year right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not at all. My spirit is really calm.
Yeah.
We got 3 months of this season left. We both want to know if we're going to be back in the United States. We do miss home.
Right.
But we do love Japan.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do what's best for raising our children with 2 curriculums and 2 different education systems.
Right.
You know, but the thing that's really, by this time 2 years ago, I was antsy.
Oh.
I wonder if we're going to be working in Japan next year. If we're back in the United States, who am I going to work for? I got to start scouting a job over there. I got to scout. You know, right now it's not that big a deal. My spirit's calm about it. I'm thankful for that. See where God leads us. He'll put us where He wants us.
Exactly.
We know that.
That's a sign of maturity, I think, in us as Christians, when we can just say, okay, God, whatever you got lined up, I'm cool with that, and not worry about it even up to the last minute.
No doubt.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for being with us
very
today.
much. Thank you very much.
Really
I enjoyed
glad
it.
that you could come.
May God bless y'all's ministry. Thank you.
Well, it's His ministry. We're just instruments, so.
Thank you.